I'm called Leah Kim. I'm 31, and 5 years ago, I left Seattle behind for good. I was employed as a backend programmer at a cybersecurity company that handled contracts for major banks and government agencies. I wasn't just skilled, I was indispensable, tackling issues other teams couldn't even articulate. But outside my job, I was a ghost, especially to my family, who hadn't reached out since 2016. So, when my phone vibrated on a calm Wednesday evening in October 2023, I was shocked to see my cousin's name. Rachel was the only one with my new number. "Leah," she said gently, "your parents are desperate to contact you. They're hoping you'll visit for Christmas." I sank onto the edge of my small Brooklyn apartment bed. "Now?" I asked. "After all this time?" "They've been asking around," Rachel replied. "They mean it." I ended the call and stared blankly at the wall. I hadn't thought of my family in ages, but memories rushed back. Always the outsider, never the cherished one. I recalled sitting in a stiff office chair at 13, hugging my knees, while Dr. Patel, my childhood therapist, told my parents directly, Leah's challenges stem not from solitude but from being overlooked. My mother dismissed it, insisting, "We care for both our children the same," but I knew she wasn't truthful. My older brother, Dylan, was the star, charismatic, football hero, class leader, the golden child. He got a car for his 16th birthday. I got a secondhand sweater that still carried someone else's scent. Even at Christmas, Dylan's gifts shone under the tree, while mine felt like last-minute thoughts. But now they were reaching out, unaware of who I'd become. Family gatherings were always torturous. Dylan commanded attention, loud and magnetic, while I faded into the background unnoticed. That's when I found coding, sparked by a faded flyer on the high school bulletin board. Intro to Computer Science Club, Room 27, Thursdays after school. I went once and never skipped a meeting. For the first time, I felt recognized, not by people, but by code's logic. The club became my sanctuary. We rebuilt old computers from scrap, shared books, argued about compilers, and stayed late fixing each other's work. I even created my first game on a borrowed laptop. Mr. Alvarez, our teacher, pulled me aside one day. "You've got a rare talent, Leah," he said. "Don't let anyone dim your light." By 17, I had a goal: apply to college, escape Seattle, and build a new life. Dylan, naturally, was already at a prestigious California university, fully funded by our parents. Then came that Thanksgiving dinner. My dad toasted Dylan, making us proud at Stanford. Cheers followed. My mom added, "As for Leah, we're urging her to find stable work." My uncle quipped, "We need dishwashers at the diner." The table, including my parents, laughed. I didn't. They didn't know I'd already earned a full scholarship to a top tech program in New York, tuition, housing, and a stipend included. I packed quietly, moved to a Manhattan dorm, worked as a waitress part-time, graduated at the top of my class, and landed a dream role at a cybersecurity firm before my diploma was even framed. 4 years later, I'd spearheaded a multi-million-dollar project for a global bank, with a bonus big enough to buy property. So, I contacted a realtor. Within days, she found the ideal brownstone condo in Fort Greene. 2 bedrooms, modern kitchen, exposed brick near the park. At 31, I became a homeowner. 2 weeks before Christmas, I hosted a cozy housewarming with my true friends, the ones who'd seen me through late-night coding sessions, tears over broken code, and relentless effort. We sat on floor cushions with Thai takeout and cheap wine, surrounded by unopened boxes and laughter. Lisa raised her glass. To Leah, the quiet one who turned silence into strength. We toasted, but a thought lingered. I was heading home soon, not as the unseen girl, but as someone who knew her value. The week before Christmas, I took leave from work, packed thoughtful gifts, and drove 6 hours to my childhood neighborhood in North Seattle. The house looked worn, peeling paint, overgrown shrubs, a flickering porch light. I rang the doorbell, hands shaking. Footsteps, then the door opened. "Leah," my mother said, blinking. "It's really you." She gave a quick, awkward hug. "You look changed." Inside, the familiar smell hit, old wood polish, stale air, that ever-present bowl of dried potpourri. The living room was full, conversations pausing as eyes turned to me. "Well, look who decided to show up." someone muttered. Is she in sweats? Another whispered. I glanced down. Tailored black pants, a high-end coat, subtle elegance they clearly missed. Then Dylan appeared from the kitchen, grinning. Everyone, this is Mia, my wife, he said, pointing to her belly, and your future niece or nephew. Congrats, I said. He smirked, still hiding in a corner coding. Laughter spread. My jaw tightened. I work in tech, I said evenly. If you've ever returned home stronger than they expected, hit subscribe, because the story's about to shift. Tech, huh? Dylan scoffed. Like fixing printers or answering support calls. He turned to Mia. Leah was always the odd one, probably in some basement. I gave a faint smile. Something like that. My mom clapped. Dinner's almost ready. Leah, set your things down. Dylan's using your old room as his office, so you're on the couch. Of course. The night was a steady stream of belittling remarks. Aunt Nora cornered me by a sad punch bowl. Your brother's launching a business, such a visionary. And you're still messing with computers? I develop software, I replied. She wrinkled her nose. Well, someone's got to do the dull work. Uncle Mike leaned over during dinner prep. Dishwasher jobs, still open at my diner. Minimum wage, but honest. Thanks, I said politely. I'm set. At dinner, they placed me at the table's far end by the kitchen door. Dylan, predictably, stole the show. This will change everything, he boasted about his startup. We just need funding to launch. How much? Dad asked. $200,000 to start, Dylan said casually. I nearly choked. It was every overused startup pitch I'd heard. We'll sort it out, Mom said, patting his hand. Family supports family. After dinner, she handed me a blanket for the couch. Christmas morning arrived, Dylan and Mia racing downstairs like kids. Their gifts piled high. They opened mine, carefully chosen luxury items. Leah, these are stunning, Mom gasped, holding her new bag. But when my turn came, Mom overacted. Oh no, Leah, we completely forgot. Dylan laughed. Just like when we were kids. Don't cry this time, you're grown now. Something clicked. Not pain, not anger, just clarity. I'm not crying, I said calmly, reaching into my purse. Actually, I got myself a great gift this year. I held up my keychain, its brushed steel glinting. Mom frowned. What's that? Keys, I said. To my new apartment. I closed on it last week. Silence hit like a dropped glass. Dad blinked. You bought an apartment? With my earnings, I said. My company licensed a cybersecurity system I designed to a major global bank. My share was decent. Mom's eyes narrowed. How decent? I shrugged. About $150,000 after taxes. Jaws dropped. Dylan's mouth hung open. Mia's eyes widened. My parents stared like I'd admitted to a secret life. $150,000. Mom's voice rose. What job pays bonuses like that? I told you, I said steadily. I'm a software developer, building security systems for Fortune 500 clients. Dad leaned in. How long have you been making that kind of money? Since graduation. Bonuses vary, but my salary's been six figures for years. That's when their tone changed. Mom stood all warmth. Sweetheart, why didn't you tell us? We're so proud. Dad added, Dylan, your sister's working with Fortune 500 companies. Dylan's jaw tightened. Mia whispered something to him. Mom sat beside me. Tell us about this apartment. How many bedrooms? 2 bedrooms. 2 baths, Fort Greene, near work. She smiled. We should visit. Family stays close. I nearly laughed. Family, after 8 years of silence. Actually, I said, standing, I've got a long drive. Mom grabbed my arm. You just arrived. Stay. Dad nodded. We haven't discussed your career. As I packed, I heard their hushed, urgent whispers. When I returned downstairs, suitcase in hand, they were waiting, their smiles forced. Before you go, Dad said, stepping forward, we should discuss Dylan's business. He needs some startup funds. Dylan grinned, like he was offering me a favor. It's a great investment. You'd be in early. How much? I asked flatly. Just $200,000, he said. With your income, that's nothing, right? I looked at them. My parents, who laughed at the dishwasher joke. My brother, who mocked me for years. His wife, who giggled along yesterday. No, I said. Their smiles vanished. What do you mean, no? Mom snapped. I'm not giving you money. But we're family, Dad said, as if the word meant anything. I crossed my arms. Where was family when I was told to fend for myself after graduation? Or when you funded Dylan's college but left me on my own? That was different, Mom said. We were tight on money then. You had money for Dylan, I countered. He had potential, she snapped, then backpedaled. I mean, we thought work suited you. I grabbed my bag. I'm leaving. You selfish brat, Dylan yelled. After all this family did for you. What did you do? I asked. Raise me? Feed me? That's parenting, not a favor. And you made sure I felt unwanted. I walked to the door as they protested. You'll regret this, Mom shouted. I won't, I said, meaning it. On the highway, my phone lit up. Calls, texts, guilt trips. I blocked them all. Back in Brooklyn, at a rest stop, I poured wine and watched the city glow from my balcony. Sarah texted, heard what happened. Sorry about them. Don't be, I replied. This was their best gift, freedom. She sent a laughing emoji. Your mom's telling everyone you're ungrateful. Let her, I wrote. That night, I slept better than ever. The next morning, messages flooded in, not from my parents or Dylan, but from aunts, uncles, and cousins I hadn't spoken to in years. Your mom told us what happened. How could you abandon your family? Dylan's trying to build something. You should help. We always knew you were selfish. I blocked them one by one, except Sarah. She called that afternoon. Jesus, Leah, the family's falling apart. Your mom's telling everyone you're rich and won't help Dylan. Good for her, I said dryly. She says you've forgotten your roots. Of course. God forbid they admit their ignored daughter made something of herself. Sarah's voice softened. I'm proud of you for what it's worth. It's worth a lot, I told her. You're the only one I want to stay in touch with. Are you okay cutting everyone else off? Sarah, I said softly, I cut them off 8 years ago. This just made it final. That evening, I met my friends at our usual Fort Greene wine bar, with worn leather booths and fairy lights. I shared everything. Good riddance, Lisa said. They sound toxic. Will you miss them? Another friend asked. I paused. No. I've been grieving the family I never had. This just ended that chapter. I raised my glass. To chosen family. To chosen family, they echoed, smiling. My phone buzzed, an unknown number. I silenced it. 6 months later, summer bathed the city in light. I sat on my balcony, coffee in hand, watching the morning unfold. It felt like waking from a haze I hadn't noticed. Sarah still called weekly with updates, not because I asked, but because she cared. Jake's daughter was born last month, she said. Madison. That's sweet, I replied, sincerely, hoping that girl would be loved better than I was. Per Sarah, Dylan and Mia were still with my parents. Their big startup just talk. Even relatives were tired of the pitch. My parents had turned my betrayal into their go-to story at family gatherings, casting me as the ungrateful daughter who disappeared despite their efforts. Meanwhile, my life was thriving. 3 months after that awful Christmas, I met Ethan at a coffee shop near my office, a freelance designer with a kind smile and respect for boundaries. He got the tech world, and more importantly, what it meant to leave a toxic family. He'd done it too. Work was soaring. I'd been promoted to lead systems architect for a major AI security project. The pay bump was nice, but the chance to create something innovative was better. My team valued me, my ideas counted. I was building the life I'd dreamed of from my parents' slumpy basement couch. About a month ago, Dylan got my new number and called. Hey, Leah, he said, overly cheerful. Thought we could reconnect. What do you want? I asked. Madison should meet her aunt. Things are tough. Mom and Dad's house needs repairs. No, you don't even know how much, he snapped. I hung up, blocked him, and, sitting in my apartment with Ethan, sipping coffee, I felt only peace. Everything they said I'd never have, love, stability, success, I'd built on my terms. Sarah later said they were turning my old bedroom into a nursery. It didn't hurt. That room was never mine. This one is. They still tried contacting me through distant relatives and friends. My favorite was Aunt Nora's voicemail. Family's forever, Leah. But I'd already moved on. Ethan and I were planning a Japan trip, learning Japanese, plotting temple visits, bookmarking noodle shops. Sarah texted, "Mom saw your post. Says it's typical you'd vacation instead of helping family." "Good," I replied. "Maybe she'll get it." Last week, I was promoted to head of engineering, top 1% salary. My boss said, "You've earned this." We celebrated with friends. Lisa joked, "Your mom probably felt your bank account grow." Ethan brought champagne to the balcony. "Let's buy a house," I said. "With a yard, maybe a dog." My phone buzzed Sarah. "Mom says you must be a drug dealer." I laughed. Let them weave their tales. I'm living mine. If you've ever felt unseen in your family, I'd love to hear from you. Comment below. What did you walk away from? What peace did you build? Your support reminds me I'm not alone, and maybe you need that too. My advice, don't wait for approval to choose yourself. Create a life that reflects your worth, not their demands. If this resonates, hit subscribe